honey. It's one of those time-honored and traditional substances that has semi-magical properties. It's been used for millennia. The ancient Druids used it as a healing salve for burns and wounds. The ancient Egyptians used it to preserve valuable seeds, as well as aid in the embalming process for spooky mummies. From healing aid to preservative, honey has the capacity to be a perfectly preserved geographical constant, meaning that it tastes like the time and place that it was made. Because of this, honey has a huge range of different flavors and colors and textures that make honey truly idiosyncratic. In fact, there's about 800 different flavor compounds in honey that range from lemon to apple to toasted almond, all the way through to something like smoked maple. But honey is super viscous and it doesn't like being mixed with alcohol. So we're gonna have to prepare it a few different ways in order to make some cocktails with them. Like always, my cocktails are broken down into 3 sections. Super simple, where no special equipment is needed. Mega tasty, where you might have to make a syrup or an infusion. And ultra fancy, where maximum effort is required. With all that being said, we should probably make some cocktails. But first, we need to do some prep. Alright, so salted cucumber honey is one of the simplest, tastiest, and most impressive pieces of mise en place I have ever tasted, and that's down to drinks wizard and good pal, Darren Flanagan. It starts by chopping 175 grams of cucumber into very thin slices, and then covering with 10 grams of flaky salt, shaking in a sealable container until every possible surface is coated. The salt here acts like a desiccant, it draws out water and flavor along with that. Set this aside for 10 minutes, after which you'll see the salt work its magic. Cover then with 300 grams of very good quality honey. I'm using a raw honey from the good folk at Bermondsey Bees. This is a really unusual dark honey that has figgy mandarin flavors and a distinct smoky finish. Perfect to be paired with juicy green cucumber. Give everything a quick mix and set aside for 24 hours to mellow and marry. Just enough time to make our first drink. Now the bee's knees is exactly what the name implies. It really is the cat's pajamas. Start by getting out some scales. Now, I know, I said that you wouldn't need any equipment, but stick with it. In a small jar, weigh out 50 grams of water and 100 grams of good quality honey. I'm using a very citrus-forward honey from pals at Bermondsey Bees. Give this all a good shake for a minute or so until combined, and voila, honey syrup. For the drink itself, to a jar or shaker, add 50 ml of Porter's Orchard Gin, which has apple, pear, and black soy notes. 25 ml of freshly pressed lemon juice, and 20 ml of our honey syrup. Add a load of ice, shake until thoroughly combined and frosty, and strain out into a fancy coupe glass. Spritz with the lemon coin over the top, sit back and sip this perfectly balanced little belter of a beverage. It really is the bee's knees. Okay, so back in the prep kitchen, once your cucumber honey has rested, strain everything through a nice fine mesh sieve. It should be much easier to pour because the delightful cucumber water has incorporated deliciously. At this point, you could splash some red wine vinegar over the cucumber slices to make a really quick, sweet pickle for fried chicken, if you were so inclined. Bottle that delightful liquid, label, and stick it in the fridge for later. This is great in any sour style drink, and it should last for about a month. So let's try it out in Ode to the Arsenic Waltz. This drink is a homage to a drink that was originally published in the Vices of Botany menu at Dandelion London, the bar where I cut my teeth in the industry. This drink is one that stuck with me as simply presented, but utterly delicious. Now, clearly I've still got the chops to make this at home. To a jar or shaker, add 25 ml of freshly pressed lemon juice, 20 ml of our delicious salted cucumber honey, 50 ml of the killer Tapatio Blanco tequila. We're going to be adding food coloring. Don't worry, it's only a very small amount, just 2 drops of green food coloring. Don't feel squeamish about this, it's made to be eaten. And the white of a whole egg. If you feel squeamish about adding egg white to your drinks, you can use chickpea water or any other foaming agent. Once all the ingredients are together, dry shake without ice first to incorporate air into the egg white and combine the ingredients. I prefer doing this beforehand as it makes less mess than the other way around. Open up the shaker and pop in plenty of ice. Shake as hard as you can until frothy and frosty. The harder and longer you shake, the tighter and more decadent the foam will turn out to be. Strain through a fine strainer. Try not to shake or jiggle as the foam is very fragile at this point and we're looking to create this beautifully glossy surface. Garnish with a grating of long pepper. This is somewhat like a fiery Szechuan pepper in so much that it can make your lips tingle or go a little numb, as if you've been poisoned. There is such balance in this drink. Sweet and sour, green and peppery, soft and subtle. I love this drink. My ode to the Arsenic Waltz. Cheers! Back to the mise en place, I'm gonna make Atholl Brose, and I'll be playing with this traditional recipe to make an elevated version of a classic Scottish beverage that is typically drank on hogmanay. Start by adding to a dry pan 25 grams of flaked almonds, 100 grams of jumbo oatmeal, and 10 grams of flaked coconut. Lightly toast everything on a low heat, tossing regularly to avoid scorching. We want to add some color to the almonds and toast the coconut until it's about the same color as a nice Scotch. Once toasted, add the dry mix to 150 grams of water. Set this aside to rest for about 2 hours. Once rested, pour over 450 grams of a nice, unpeated, not too pricey Highland-style Scotch. In my case, Glasshouse, which is 100% malted barley blended whiskey. Give it a quick stir and then add in 1 gram of cracked black pepper, 1 gram of flaky salt, 2 grams of bee pollen, 3 grams of cacao nibs, 1 quill of cinnamon cracked in half, half a gram of nutmeg, and then 2 bags of Kukicha Roasted twig tea. Alternatively, you could use Rooibos or like a naturally decaffeinated tea. Give everything a good stir, cover, and set aside to infuse for 12 hours or overnight. Once rested, pass the whole lot through a fine mesh sieve until you get this very milky tea-looking liquid. I thought that the oats would be delicious after infusing, but they taste like sawdust and white spirit. Ugh. You could leave it as it is, but I don't know if you can tell, but there's still loads of solids left in the liquid, which doesn't really make for a fantastic drinking experience. So I'm gonna pass it through a super bag, which is like a really fine, really strong muslin cloth. Once cleared through the super bag, we're left with this much less milky looking tea-colored liquid. From here, traditionally with a silver spoon, stir in 200 grams of very good quality raw honey. I'm using a light summer honey from pals at Bermondsey Bees, which has notes of apricot and confectioned pear, which is a great pairing for our toffee-rich, appley Highland Scotch. Stir until all is combined, bottle, label, and put in the freezer for at least 12 hours. We'll come back for it then. Retrieve your bottle of Atholl Brose, and it seems strange not to drink this from a hip flask whilst watching fireworks and singing Auld Lang Syne, but hey, we can flex a little with this killer frozen martini glass. Simply pour straight from the freezer. The amount of alcohol and sugar here means that it won't go slushy or freeze at all. Optionally, if you're a traditionalist, you can float a little double cream on top, but I don't think it needs it. This is super rich. It is warming, very sweet, and very bold. This is a drink that you'll be tasting for hours. It just keeps going. The endless Atholl Brose. Sláinte mhath. So that was the ancient and mystical honey. Now, I feel like I've only scratched the surface with honey, and it definitely warrants more exploration, so maybe we can revisit this one in the future. I'm just curious as well, I don't have honey in the house very often, and I was just curious how you enjoy honey. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, or if you want to see us tackle any one thing in particular in the future, stick it down in the comments below. Give us a like and subscribe so you're up to date when new videos release every week. But until next time, take it easy, be good, love you, bye.